Hey everyone, this is Albert Valentin, aka World Film Geek. Welcome to the fourth episode of the World Film Geek Podcast. And we are here to talk about the 2021 reboot of the Slumber Party Massacre. The film debuted in September at Fantastic Fest, followed by a Sci-Fi Channel original on October 16th. And it recently just made its debut in South Africa at the Horror Fest a couple nights ago. And today I have two amazing special guests here. So the first I have to introduce is Michael Lawrence Potter, who plays John, one of the guys in the cabin that Russ Thorn has had struck years ago. Michael made his debut in the film Triggered, and he is also the star of one of the stars of Ubatina Wethu as Brandon Thomas. And that was I've seen clips of it, and it's such a fun role, it looks like. So Michael, welcome to the podcast.
First things first, it absolutely warms my heart that someone from Florida said Ubatina Wethu absolutely perfectly, man. Thank you so much. And it's an honor to finally be on your podcast.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. And finally, we have the man himself, the new Russ Thorn, Rob Van Vuuren. Rob Van Vuuren is one of the funniest guys I have got to see this year. I saw him in a bunch of clips on YouTube. You got to look his name up because he's got some really funny stuff, including a roast battle recently with Lisa Mandingo. He's also got the movie Vander Merve, Stone Cold Jane Austen, just to name a few, but many in the States will know him as Swackhammer from Tremors, A Cold Day in Hell. Rob, it is an honor to have you here today.
Thank you so much, man. I'm thrilled to be with you guys. Yeah, I'm excited. I love this movie, by the way, Slumber Party Massacre. I only saw it, I told you, Mike, I only saw it for the first time at the premiere in South Africa. What a joy. It was so cool. I loved it. Am I allowed to say that right off the box? I love this movie.
Yeah, and I gotta say, a lot of the reviewers I saw, they actually gave you props for your take on Russ Thorn. They were like, yeah, Rob Van Vuuren did an excellent job as Russ Thorn. Like I'm like, this could be Rob's breakout role in the States, even though he's more known for like being one of the most hysterical people I've seen.
It's a big cheat at the end of the day because I just copied Michael Villela's original performance, and that was the brief. And his performance from the original Slumber Party Massacre is so bizarre. It's so unnerving. It's so weird.
Yeah.
And like when that was sent to me as a reference, I was like, oh, wow. Oh, fantastic. I'll just do what he's doing. And the jaw, the eyes, the high-pitched voice. What a gift.
Yeah, I mentioned this in the message board about you playing, and I showed him a picture of you, and someone's like, yeah, they definitely got the right guy here, because he kind of looks creepy. That's what they said. They said they got the right casting choice. They got the right casting choice. It was perfect. They couldn't wait to see you. But speaking of the original, I got it right here, ladies and gentlemen.
Here it is.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Very nice.
The original. So let's talk about the new movie. How did you guys get your roles? Like, did you knew what you were going to go for right away, or?
All right, you have to ask Rob this question first because his story is.
Yeah, I got here. Yeah, let's hear how honestly, Rob became Russ Thorn first. Let's start with that.
Well, it was just sent the audition. Initially, I actually read for Dave, the mechanic guy. And then they sent through, won't you please read for Russ Thorn, which I was really, really excited about. And they said, they literally sent the clips, the original Michael Villela performance clips from the original movie, and said, just do that. So I did. I just tried to, as much to be him as possible. And I do have a physical performance background. So for me, it was very much just tapping into this very strange physicality that Michael had in the original performance. And then also getting a hold of some BTS stuff from the original, where he talks about his mindset and what he was trying to do. And he described the character as a peacock, and the way he walked like a peacock and very animalistic. And he would describe how his toes kind of spread across the floor when he was walking. Which was just great information to have. And then I just kind of mimicked him and just kept kind of physically trying to feel in that zone and not worry about a psychotic killer. I just have to look like one.
Yeah.
And I think my jaw helps because I've got a really like prominent long jaw, and the cheekbones make me look kind of creepy, especially at these weird angles, you know.
Yeah, that definitely works.
It works. They made my face work. I made my face work with them making my face work. I'm just looking at myself. I can be a pretty scary looking dude at times.
Yeah. You'd have been great if you were hiding under a blanket and you had the face, like just like in the original. Like when the coach creeps up and she opens the blanket and he just like pops up with his eyes popping out like that. If I had seen you do that, I would have been either jumping out of my skin or just cracking up. It would have, either way would have worked.
Well, that was one of the great things about the modern remake was, and Danishka, the writer, Suzanne, was so into paying homage to the original and to the original franchise. So there's little Easter eggs throughout the whole movie where they're referencing, you know, sometimes shot for shot moments from the original franchise, which I think is so great.
Yes, totally. Like the famous establishment shot of like the original, the girl is in between Russ Thorn's legs, and
but this time it's a dude.
Guy one. This time it was guy one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what worked. You get to flip the script on this one.
Yeah, fantastic. It's a real feminist statement, actually, this film, which I think is like, I'm so honored to be a part of that, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So, Michael, how about you?
Oh man, it was such an interesting audition and such an interesting time in my life. So like following Triggered, I kind of like fell into acting completely by mistake, because it was just something that while I was an attorney, I thought, I don't want to learn how to play golf. I don't want to like do all these boring hobbies. I want to do stand-up. I want to learn how to act. And I would go through these auditions and I got absolutely nothing for the longest time. And then Triggered kind of came along, and you know, once you get the role and once you made the movie, no one else knows about the movie except for you. So I had to go back to my desk job. I had to go back to, you know, exactly. So I had to go back to being a collections attorney. And then in January of this year, all of a sudden, like, you know, the film releases and my life pretty much changes overnight. And I got the audition in with Bonnie Lee Bowman, an amazing casting director. And I used to work for her. But I was someone who used to run the castings, kind of compile the casting lists and all that. Mm-hmm. So to be on the other side of it, where I was now auditioning, was surreal. And now for me, I've always found that like effort always trumps talent. Mm-hmm. And I'm of the belief that like if I have talent, I don't want to know about it. I'd rather just like work hard for the role. So as soon as I got like the sides, all I knew was, okay, I need to get a pot, like a giant pot, and this guy is wearing a Crime Bandits t-shirt. So I'm like, cool. First thing I did, I went and got a shirt printed out of Crime Bandits and got the biggest bad pot that I could find, and then just like basically practice doing the stunt falls and the lines over and over and over again. You know, because the sides that I got weren't even Slumber Party Massacre. It was like some other code word, some other script. I get in there with about 50 other guys who look like me, and for whatever reason, I think the shirt and the pot must have just tickled them, because I got through to the final call-ups, and then they were like, okay, now that you know that you're kind of in the zone, we're going to give you what the script actually is. And they revealed it was Slumber Party Massacre. It was a remake of the 1980s movie. I'm like, cool. And I'm good with research, coming from a legal background. I'm like, cool, this is my comfort zone. So the first thing I do is I go to Starbucks, I open up my laptop, and I boot up Slumber Party Massacre. And then I had to leave that Starbucks because the first 5 minutes of Slumber Party Massacre from the 80s is basically softcore porn.
Yep. So, wait, I remember that from your reaction video that you did.
Yeah, exactly. And I basically just, whenever you get and I've spoken about this before, but whenever you get a intellectual property or a franchise that has a long fan base, it's massive shoes to fill. So for me, it was like an idea of trying to reach out to like the original guys who were in Slumber Party Massacre. Didn't manage to get through to any of the guys. I managed to get through to two of the ladies who were absolutely stunning, and they kind of told me the process that they went into. And I think what was so fascinating is that I basically was essentially playing a scream queen. you know, which I think Danishka was so good at sort of flipping that on its head, where the gents or the guys who are being objectified, lack agency, are a little bit airheaded, but then you mold that with like a bit of toxic masculinity, where they're kind of like, oh, we're capable, we can do this, where we're trying to beat off a murderer with a drill using like chair legs and a guitar. So I think a lot of it was just kind of like reaching into that self-effacing, self-referential comedy while also treating it as like a real threat. And yeah, I mean, I was actually on the set for Ubutsina Wetu. It was the strangest month of my life. I went from being a collections attorney to being on the set of one of SA's biggest sitcoms to flying down to Cape Town to shoot my scenes in like 3 or 4 days for Slumber Party Massacre. It was genuinely the most incredible experience of my life, and just surreal to like sit down on set and like turn to my left like, oh, there's like one of my favorite comedians, Rob Van Vuuren. Don't make a big deal of it. That's cool, you know, whatever. And then turn to my right like, oh, it's Eden Claessens. It was a lot to wrap my head around, but man, the process of getting there was just sensational.
Yeah, I gotta say, speaking of that, the girls, you know, as much as we would love to be in there, they're not able here, but they were amazing in this, and I like that they went from, you know, what we dealt with the 80s with the whole objectified to like kick-ass women in this one. And you know, it has you shared a lot of the screen time with the girls, Michael, and that was fun. That was hysterical. You know, my daughter likes to recite the whole, you're talking about Russ Thorn, the Russ Thorn is alive, like she's seen it and she repeats that like from time to time because that's like her favorite scene of the movie.
Man, that honestly just like warms my heart, because I mean, like, I think when I stayed up late and watched it on Sci-Fi when it was premiering, it was like 3 a.m. on my side of the world. Mm-hmm. And I was live tweeting with Danishka, and the entire time I was just thinking like, man, I hope that like we don't suck, you know, once again, it's like these huge shoes to fill. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the way this movie was received was just so humbling. Like, we really were embraced by the horror fans, which I think, like, let's face it, horror fans, not the easiest crowd to win over. Mm-hmm. And on the same weekend, Halloween Kills had just been released.
Yep.
And
it was actually the night before. Yeah, we actually got the night before Slumber Party Massacre.
I think it's fair to say that the reaction was divisive.
Yep.
And I was like, oh no, they're gonna come for us. This is gonna be horrible. But no, I was pleasantly and really like surprised. I'm really humbled by how we've been embraced by the horror fans.
Yeah, I totally relate to you, Mike. That sense of responsibility, stepping into like the shoes of a franchise, and that anxiety of like, oh, did we do it justice? Will the fans be okay with it? And yeah, the response has been amazing. And watching the film now, you go, yeah, well, it's great. It's a great movie, and it hits all the horror points so well, but it flips the switch so well, and it pays homage to the series itself, and it's like feminist roots as well, because the original one did. I mean, you talk about those opening 5 minutes where it's basically soft porn, because as we know, the original was written and directed by female artists.
Brown. Rita Mae Brown was and she had originally intended it to be a satire, but it was but then Roger Corman said, no, we're going to turn this to a story.
Roger Corman stepped in, and he was like, and there was like a prerequisites, and some of that was, you know, showing boobs. And then opening scene is one of the most passive aggressive filmmaking kind of gestures, where the filmmakers are just like, okay, well, if that's what you want, we're not going to justify it anywhere. We're just going to do that. And then which I think is brilliant, a brilliant kind of like just showing it as it is. Like, this is what they want. This is what they're forcing us to do. And here we are doing it because the audience wants it as well. But then in this make, we get that slow motion pillow fight sequence with the guys and feathers, and it's just like pure titillation for the female gaze. You know?
Exactly.
It's like completely objectified. The shower scene with Eden, it's just like I was like, this is brilliant. It's so brilliant.
Yeah, that was the big surprise, and I'm glad that they did do that, because you know, we're in the year 2021 now, and I feel like everyone has to be equal in this case, and you know, that's what makes this work. You know,
Totally.
like me being a straight guy, one would think, oh, you're gonna be uncomfortable watching a guy in the shower. I'm like, no, it's a movie, and
So
we're in an age where we can, it's totally acceptable now. So I'm totally happy. I was like, okay.
Yeah, but it's that was tongue in cheek, like I don't know, if, just the energy in the audience. And Danishka was saying that at the premiere in Ontario, in Austin, Texas as well, people were like whooping and shouting and screaming, and that's exactly how it was watching it in Cape Town, because it is really fun to watch. You go along with the ride, and when they do flip the switch, you're like, yes, they're doing this. Just great.
And that's what I think was so incredible about it, is that it was completely self-effacing of like the sort of thing of like, we know what we're doing, we know what this is. And I think what was hilarious is like, while we were live tweeting, there was this guy who was a massive fan of the original, to the point where I think he had the guitar, the Driller Killer's guitar, like tattooed on his bicep.
Yeah.
Really cool guy. But I mean, he was like going on about like, this is really funny. But I'm just sad that they're not doing a shower scene. I'm like, just wait, buddy. And then we got it. I'm like, yep, I told you.
Yeah, I think I saw one reaction from a fan said, it was a female fan. She said, best shower scene of 2021.
And how can you argue? I mean, like the thing, like what makes it even funnier is the fact that the way that Eden plays it off is sensational, because like I think if you know Eden, like Eden's like, he seems like very sort of like put together and demure, but that guy has the cheekiest naughty side to him. And I think that when they like parts of it where he was like, oh, I can't wait for this is gonna be hysterical. And the way that I got introduced to him was in the the trailer, when he was getting made up for it. So he's there with his like sort of fake skin where the drill is going to pierce through, and his no way of putting it, but his friend was kind of locked up in a sock of sorts. Reaches out his hand, as charming as can be. Hi, I'm Eden Clausen. Hey buddy, how's it going?
That's awesome. I got
absolute truth, though.
And man, the guys were great in this, aside from Michael and Eden. Nathan Castle, he was hysterical. He was like supposed to be like the toughest guy, I think, out of the group.
Oh yeah,
that's what it seemed for sure. And then the two guys, which again reference like that most hysterical scene where there's two guys, no, there's four of you. That's like, it reminded me of an Abbott Costello, Laurel Hardy, like classic comedy. That's exactly what I thought of right away, because I grew up watching that stuff. So I was like 2/4, and that was funny as heck.
Yeah. So did Danishka. Like obviously Danishka is from Canada. And she was talking about the fact that she wanted that to pay homage to like Laurel and Hardy or Kids in the Hall, like that real sort of like Canadian, sketch comedy.
Yeah.
And I think what was so incredible was that we had people like Rob on set. Because I mean, for me, it's like most of my acting has been either dramatic or like really sort of broad strokes of comedy, where the situations are funny as opposed to the delivery is funny. So I think like Rob, I have to tell you, it was an absolute honor to have you on set to like pick your brain and just like learn how the timing of comedy works, learn how to like land your beats and stuff. But Danishka was also.
Why are you asking me so many damn questions?
Yes.
Rob is hilarious. Like I said, if everyone needs to just type in his name on YouTube and just pick any of the comedy bits he did. Because the first one I ever saw of like comedy bits he did was the xenophobia segment. that just made me crack up. Like, especially when it's like a cocaine party in my nose, except there's no cocaine. I was, and the look on his face when he said that, I was dying when I saw that.
Wow, thank you both. That's really humbling and beautiful compliments. I'm now all shy and blushing.
Yes. It just proves my point. I mean, comedians can make great killers, hands down. Like had Kevin James played a killer in Becky. Robin Williams played a stalker in 1 Hour Photo. And then Donald Logg played a killer Santa Claus in Silent Night. And here we are. Rob is the latest comedian to take on a killer role, and literally. And he did it and then some, in my opinion. He did an excellent job.
So fun. It's such a fun part to play. Especially, what I really loved about it was just the relationship between you, my body as that ominous killer shape, and the camera, and that was watching something on Netflix of one of those the movies that made us, and talking about Halloween and how he's initially just described as the shape. In fact, in all the scripts, he's just the shape.
Yeah.
And I totally related to that, because so much of the building of the tension of the killer is just this kind of ominous shape coming in, and that's got so much to do with your kind of spatial relationship to the camera. And I really loved, like, the things even where it wasn't even my face on screen, but like, you know, stepping with your feet and then stepping just past the camera and making sure the drill would kind of go right through the middle of the frame and things like that, walking in with the drill coming in, and when you step in and when you step out, and feeling the camera around your shoulder for when that reveal is going to be. Or I love that kind of stuff. It was so much fun. I would totally do horror movies for the rest of my life. Anyone who wants to cast me as a murderer, I'm down.
All right, y'all heard that. So any horror filmmakers who are listening to this, I hope you all heard that.
And I mean, like, let's face it, the beginning scene of the movie is Russ Thorn apparently dying, and then we're kind of like dealing with him a few minutes later. So I don't know, man. I think there's definitely legs on that. And something that you said, Rob, that like really, really struck me is your relationship to the camera. And the minute that you said that, the minute that I went back and watched it, I thought, I know exactly what you're talking about now, because it's just the way that Danishka framed every single one of Rob's movement. And Rob had this understanding of like where the camera was placed, where his like victims were placed, you know, like, so there'd be moments where he'd make himself like quite big with like the jaw, and there'd be moments where like the drill would be in between. It was just, and what's fascinating about that is that so many people on Twitter and social media have kind of drawn the parallels between certain frames of the original and frames of the re-release. And it is unbelievable, like the attention to detail, just even like the positioning of people sitting down, the positioning of the drill, it's stellar. And I mean, even just the little knickknacks and Easter eggs. I mean, the duck, which is the original duck from the first bedroom, the guitar, it's unbelievable, like the level of detail that has gone into this.
Yeah, that's got so much to do with Danishka and her love for genre, her love for the material, and the amount of work she put into it. Like so in control, and not like an intense kind of control, the most loose, relaxed control that I've actually experienced from a director on set. She just so on top of it, and in such a relaxed way that filtered down through every department, and it made it a very, very comfortable, relaxed set to be on, despite the fact that we shot that entire movie in 18 days, which is like, you know, insane. So we were shooting a lot. It was the pace was really, really quick, but it never felt rushed. And that's got everything to do with Danishka, and then also, very importantly, her relationship with our DP, Trevor, which was just the way they communicated was fascinating for me to watch. They were never rushed in the way that they were communicating. They were never raising their voices. There was never like anxiety or stress, even though we were all aware of how tight the budget was and how tight the timing on it was. But they had just this wonderful rapport, this complete control over the material and what they were doing, that made it just such a joy to be on. It was really one of the best sets I've been on. It was fantastic.
That's awesome. And I gotta say, Danishka is an amazing director. I actually have the Banana Splits movie. Like that's the movie that got me into wanting to watch her stuff. And
I auditioned for that one. I never got a part on it.
Oh, you did? Wait, who'd you audition for? Wait a minute, which role? Don't tell me it was Stevie, because you would have gotten a lollipop to the throat.
I haven't watched the movie, so I wouldn't be able to tell you, but I do know that he was crazy. I think he was crazy.
Yeah, matter of fact, Richard White, who played Guy 1, he played Stevie, the assistant, and he gets a lollipop to the throat, and it extrudes out of his neck and it was so well done, man.
Richard says he still gets called Lollipop Guy on Twitter occasionally.
That's why,
Because
yeah.
of that, I thought that was hysterical.
Yeah, my 15-year-old, she loves that movie too. That's like one of her favorite horror films. And she's like, if you get to talk to the director, see if there's a sequel, because I would love to be in it. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah. But yeah, she loves that movie. And she did see the Slumber Party Massacre. She loved it. She absolutely loves it. And I got my 11-year-old to watch it. I'm thinking, okay, she gonna watch this. She watched it and she liked it too. So you got a couple horror films within the family. So that works too. So, but let's talk about the ladies now, because they were awesome. I mean, Hannah, Alex, Mila, Rezatiana, Francis. I wish they could be here, but unfortunately, we're thinking of you girls. So we're just letting you know we are thinking of you. We're also thinking of Shalane, who couldn't be here with us too, because I did reach out to her, and she's working on a project in Germany right now. But it must have been a blast working with them.
Unbelievable. I think what was so good between Rob and I is that we got to interact with them in such different ways, in the sense of that with me and the ladies, it was a lot more of like sort of comedic interactions, and like obviously Hannah and I had like that very cool stunt scene. Man, Hannah can work, man. Like she is quick. And I think that it's one of those things that it was like being in a big ensemble play where every single actor was just primed and ready and just so present. And I think Rob had a much cooler dynamic with them, because he was kind of like this huge, terrifying presence, and just seeing the reactions between them. No, it was astounding. I don't think we could have asked for a better ensemble cast, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they were incredible. I mean, I must say, Hannah as the lead was so strong. For a young actress, she had just such a wonderful presence and a calmness about her that was wonderful to be around, and also like such like a really hard worker, really like physically like there. I got to chase her around a lot, and she never tired, she never complained, she was always game, giving her best all the time, and phenomenal actress. I think we're going to see a lot more of her. But you're right that like it is very much an ensemble cast, and all the girls they complement each other so well. And I think that's got to do with the writing, because the writing is really good and strong, the characters, and it's funny, so that you get all those dynamics playing out. But the acting, the performances were just great. Mila Rayne, her first movie, she's 16 years old, like just a fantastic performance. She came to it like an absolute pro, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, she was great. Yeah, she was hands down. She was amazing.
Yeah, she's so good.
I did mention she should be in the sequel. If they do a sequel, she should be in it. She should bring Alex back in the sequel.
She's going to have a massive career. I think she's extremely, extremely talented.
Yeah.
I think where Suzanne Kylie and Danishka really nailed it with the female characters as well is that you knew exactly what each character was in regards to the story. They were very defined by their motivations, their characteristics. They're like, okay, this one's the smart one, this one's the funny one, this one's kind of the one who's aggressive. But what I loved about it is that with those kind of like very set piece ensemble casts, they also had these shades of nuance where you have the smart one who's also very fearful. Then you have like the brave one who maybe doesn't think things through too much. And then like what I loved about like Mila's change as Alex in the movie is that she starts off being very foolhardy and almost a bit condescending. And as it gets realer and realer, she's like, oh, okay, now I'm terrified now. And she reverts to kind of being that like 15-year-old girl in this incredible situation.
Yeah.
And I just think that every single one of those characters seemed incredibly real. Whereas alternatively, with the men, they were well written, but they were well written to be bland, moronic idiots, which I think we know. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they were. They were, because you were like the even though you were kind of like the ringleader, you were kind of like the scared one. Like, okay, well, I'm just being forced into this. It's like my toxic masculinity is forcing me into it. Eden's like the really like, oh my god, like he was like that, and Nathan's like, yo, let's do this. Nathan's like, I'm ready to do this. And then the two guys, it was like they were just like they were in their own little world as well, because
Exactly.
two guys. So, but one question I like to ask is, speaking of ensemble casts, because I know from your experience, Michael, you were with the cast of Trigger last, a while back, and I talked to Raina and Cameron, and you guys bonded when you weren't shooting. You guys had some awesome bonding experiences. Was that the same thing with this film? Like when you were not shooting, did you guys bond? Did you get to do stuff when you weren't shooting? Or
honestly, we had very little time. I mean, we had 18 days of shooting, and it was like back-to-back sort of stuff. But what I think was very smart is even the way that Danishka structured the shooting. She made sure that like the guys had some time to spend some time alone, that like me and Hannah had some time to spend alone before our scenes. So I think like what she did is she kind of gave us the freedom to say, okay, you guys are at base camp. What are you going to do with this time that you've been given? And I think especially with the guys, we ended up being incredibly close, to the point where there are a couple of videos I still need to upload of us playing like touch rugby in the in the base camp, and giving makeup an absolute like heart attack because we've got all this prosthetic makeup and we're passing like a rugby ball around. We had like a dance party at like 3 a.m. at base camp in between supper, and all of us kind of like really keep in very strong contact to this day. Like Eden, I consider to be one of my closest friends. And yeah, I think that we did make like immeasurable friendships that hopefully are going to last forever. I mean, I hope I see a lot more of Rob, because every time I get to hang out with them, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, I think with ensemble casts, you are absolutely foolish if you don't decide to bond with this. I mean, you have this collection of talented and passionate people under one roof who want to do the same thing, which is make a film. It's incredible the friendships that you can kind of come up with there and then. And even just the process of filming was hysterical. I mean, the scene in which Russ breaks in and it's dark and there's like torchlights and there's feathers going everywhere was probably the most fun scene I've ever done in my entire life. Like we were cracking up the whole way.
Oh my God, I was in hysterics in that scene, just like the screaming, the shouting. I think was it you and Eden who were hugging each other, or was Eden and Nathan like? It was just
interchanged. It constantly interchanged.
It was so great. Yeah, there was a very, very nice energy on that set, and everyone got on really, really, really well. And there was the same camaraderie that you're describing amongst the boys. There was that times 10 with the girls, because they spent that much more time with each other and they had that much more screen time, and you could just see there was this really beautiful connection between them. They all had each other's backs and they were all so good. That's the secret to a great ensemble movie, is you can't have any weak links, and it didn't feel like they were great. We've mentioned Hannah and Mila, but Francis and Alex were just as good, such professionals, so nuanced in everything that they did, and the girls in the first kill in the flashback scene, little screen time, but they make it work, man. They just like were so on it, and it was amazing for me as an older actor in the cast to watch all these young people come in there. And I know, like, we don't have a lot of time. I know that there's pressure on the schedule, and I just see these kids come in, and they don't show any of the pressure. They just nail it every single time. I was like, wow, okay, they're good. I better up my game here. I gotta
yeah, definitely.
Stay up with.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this one. What would you consider the best kill of your favorite kill of the movie?
Ooh.
Sure.
I got one in mind, but I want to hear you guys first. See if any of us agree with each other.
1 second, I've got my daughter's having a play date, and her friend's granddad is phoning me. I have to call my Bijou. Sienna's granddad's here. Will you go let her in? Him in. Sorry.
You're good. This is the great thing about live podcast, guys. We get to have some fun stuff here. Because earlier before, my dog was barking downstairs. I don't know if anyone heard that, but
it was mine.
So we're all good.
My daughter's passing me miniature pancakes and little, what is this? A pizza?
Nice.
Lucky.
That's cute.
Tiny.
Cute.
That is fantastic.
I think my favorite was it's actually hard to say. My two favorite kills.
Okay. So that's two favorites.
Through the neck.
Of Jackie, right? Was that the opening?
Yes, in the opening.
Yeah,
That was
Jane's
great.
Jane's character, yeah.
Such a great kill. And also just seeing the prosthetics involved in making that. I've got this great picture of they did this wonderful mold of Jane, and there's like this kind of head and shoulders, and then these tubes going up with all the blood and stuff. And Clint, the guy from Cosmesis who does all the prosthetic stuff, and I've worked with him for years on lots of different projects, and they are incredible. They're so good. That was definitely one of my favorites. And I love seeing the behind this, how they make these things. I love seeing that.
Oh, I love that. I love seeing like the special effects stuff. That's like my favorite thing about horror films, to see how it's done.
Yes, yeah. You see the effect, but then you see how did they do that? I love that. And then the guitar kill.
Yes. That's
that thing.
Sean's death. Yes.
So great.
That was awesome. All right, Michael, what's your favorite?
I was saying I love that kill of Nathan, just because we were laughing. We're like, wow, Nathan, we finally found the one picture of you where you don't look hot. So that was a nice change. But I've got a little bit of an obscure one. I think when Russ Thorn gets taken down, spoilers, but
we're okay. The movie's been out for like a while now, so we're just gonna let them out.
Because I remember like reading the script and then seeing it in the movie, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, hold on, it's like we're like 38 minutes in. How is this happening? And I think just the way it happened was so, like, it was insane. Just that final. But I love you. And you almost feel sorry for him, almost. But then I think that just took me by utter surprise. I could not believe.
And I think that's why it resonated with the horror fans, because it came out of nowhere. Like, it's just like we're only like an hour into the movie, and he's already. So what are you gonna do? Like, I was shocked when I first saw it. I'm like, whoa, wait.
When I read the script originally, I was like, wait a minute. This can't be right. Damn it.
And what I loved about that is that it sets up my second favorite kill, which is Russ. Unfortunately, when your mommy passes away, man. Like, because what I loved about that is that the tone of the film changes, in the sense of that I don't want to say it's like a little bit irreverent in the beginning, but it kind of is. It's got that like horror movie feel, but because the girls have agency and they know that they're going to make it out of it, you kind of have that sort of fun summer blockbuster sort of feel. But everything after Russ dies is incredibly sinister.
Yeah.
And it's like really like claustrophobic, where like the girls have no idea what's going to happen. And just how like Russ is kind of like this Saturday morning cartoon villain to Mrs. Thorn, who is incredibly sinister. And like the fight scenes and everything are so visceral and so real. I think that the two villain kills for me are my favorites, just because.
I was going to say the Eden's the shower kill is also just
unbelievable.
Yeah, that was great. The way that was executed was
amazing. It comes out of nowhere. You have got this light moment in the shower, and then it's just so brutal. And we have to make special mention of Jennifer Stein, who plays.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Jennifer, we're thinking of you too. If you listen to this, we're thinking of everyone who couldn't be here today, but we're all thinking of you. Because
she
we'll get them on the next one.
Just like the most phenomenal actress. I've been lucky enough to work with her a lot on stage, and she's a legend in this country. And she definitely kills that part. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Rob has worked with his share of legends. I could say that. Like Ian Roberts is your dad in Vandermerve. That was tops right there. When you called him Pa, and he's like, don't call me that. It's never been proven. Like I still crack up at that every time I hear that.
What's happening? Someone started phoning. Sorry. Did I interrupt?
But my favorite kill is I would say Sean's death was my favorite one. Just the way it was executed, and all I see is his head spinning. The first time I saw the promo, like it was like so fast, I thought you were actually holding a weed whacker to someone's head. I realized like, it was actually Sean's head like spinning around. So when I did my promo reaction, I'm like, is that a weed whacker or is that someone's head spinning?
The amount of blood that was squirted into my face and my eyes during that.
Boy.
Yeah. Yeah, you even had clam chowder like in your face in the opening. So that was pretty funny as well. Like what are you gonna throw at him next? An apple pie in his face? Like what's next?
I was gonna say, I think 90% of the fake blood on that set was either all over Rob or all over Mila. Like you guys were constantly covered in fake blood every time I saw you.
The makeup artist said that Mila was the one with the most blood on her. I think
I can believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
After she murdered, well, she didn't murder me. She was a little bit after the fact, but
oh yeah, she just like ran out screaming like ah.
That scene is still one of my favorites. Like my favorite line of the entire movie is still, well, he's not going to get any less dead. Just, yes.
That was awesome.
One of my favorite lines was when the girls come into the cabin. And Reese, she's so funny in this movie. She's so funny, and she's got really great feedback online as well, which I think is so well deserved. But when she sees the big shark jaws,
oh my gosh,
from the lake, and this from the lake, and like my mom's like, no, it's a shark. And she's like, I know.
Yeah, but one of my favorite lines was when Dana tells John, you should not go out there with them, and then he just like brings up, well, yeah, but my toxic masculinity is kind of like forcing me into it.
I love that line.
And then I like the fact that Rob took the original lines from the movie, and unlike Michael Villella, who like put them all in one like whole jumbo block, Rob does it sporadically, and I think that's what gave that more tension. Like he just like sporadically.
In our writer making good choices.
Yes, definitely.
I think what was so interesting about those lines is that it was very telling about, it was very telling about what Russ Thorn's character was like, in the sense of that you hardly knew anything about this guy. Like you knew that he killed people, you knew that like he had been around for a while, and you knew that he loved that double denim, but I mean, that's all you knew about him. So like, there were like these little like breadcrumbs of like, is he developmentally challenged, or is he making these choices on his volition? Like, and I think that final sort of crux where the mother would say, how, you guys were tempting him. If you hadn't done it, he would have just left you alone. And you go, oh, you're from a crazy family. This is a family business kind of thing. And I think that just put so many layers, and just, although it kind of gave you a nice foundation on this character, it left you with more questions than answers, which with a horror film, I think is always the best way to go. Like if you leave the cinema going, wait, what? In the best possible way. And I really felt that with Russ Thorn, where I'm terrified of him, but I have no idea what his motivations are, in the best possible way. And I think what was really cool about his presence is you never felt overexposed to him, in the sense of that I felt like I was watching the first Jaws, in that you hardly ever saw the shark, quote unquote.
Right.
And you didn't know but you knew what the shark was capable of. And I think that was just, man, Russ Thorn, good villain. And the number of people who sent me pictures of them dressed as Russ Thorn for Halloween. Rob, I'm gonna send you a few photos, man. It's hysterical. You've got a legion of terrifying.
You did it, man. Rob did it, man.
I thought of going Russ Thorn to Halloween. Actually, I was like, I can actually go as myself.
My funniest is he rocked up to the festival in a denim jacket, and I went like, oh, like I wasn't like ready. I'm like, oh no.
The actual jacket from the movie. I kept
the actual jacket.
Oh, that's awesome.
This jacket, please. So it's a very sentimental item of clothing for me now. I always think of Russ Thorn when I put that denim jacket on.
Yeah, I gotta say, Michael's mention of double denim was the funniest thing I saw in his reaction video when he saw the original movie, where he goes, double denim in a drill. That's 2 red flags. Watch out for it. I was like, I just lost it when I saw that.
Well,
Like,
I actually have a theory about that I think our costume designer needs to explain, because think about it. Russ Thorn, double denim. My character, who we can agree was a bit of a jerk, denim shirt. Mila, who turned out to be crazed and stabbing a dead body over and over again, what's she wearing? Denim jacket. I'm just saying, there's something there that we need to take a look at.
there's that connotation. So horror directors, you might want to use denim next time. That's what we first want to say here. That's awesome. So I know you guys saw the original or parts of the original. Did you ever see the sequels, the original sequels, number 2 or number 3?
I saw Slumber Party Massacre 2 for the sole fact that I'm like a big lover of like the greaser look. Like if I'm not in a suit, I'm usually in like a leather jacket or something. And I saw this guy with his guitar and that goofy little dance like that. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I must find out immediately like everything about this. And I actually really enjoyed Slumber Party Massacre 2, just because I think that it like many sequels, it kind of goes one of 2 ways. It's either like we're still finding our feet, or it's okay, we know what we're doing and we're going to lean fully into like the self-effacing, self-referential side of it. And yeah, I actually really enjoyed Slumber Party Massacre 2. Like there was something very charming about it and very strange.
So I'm
gonna have to watch it then. Is that what you're saying, Mike?
Yes, please, you gotta see it.
Watch it, man.
Like there's no Russ Thorn. What's the point? Come on.
He's supposed to be like a reborn Russ Thorn, because the lead character in Slumber Party Massacre 2 is Courtney, the sister of the little sister in the first movie. So she's now grown up and she's now a musician. So she joins a band, but then she has nightmares about apparently Russ Thorn, but reborn as a rockabilly type with a guitar with a drill bit at the end.
I've seen the clip. I like selected a couple on YouTube.
Yeah,
just like if you think that like Michael's movements were weird, this guy's dancing and shucking and jiving, but while stabbing, I can't describe. Just go and watch it. Like I can't do it justice. It's phenomenal.
Rob, it's to a point where he has a song and dance number before he kills someone. That's like the highlight.
Okay, I gotta watch it.
Yeah. So if I was to rank the Slumber Party Massacre franchise, including the new one, like number 2 is still like my favorite one, but the new one, this one is my second. Like, but very close. Like very like I would say like 0.0000001, because
incredibly honest of you. You're supposed to just say that ours is your favorite, but
when it comes to the actual Russ Thorn, you are now my favorite, hands down. Like I will say that, because
I'll take that.
Yeah, because the original is like the next one down, and then the third one, it was just like a run of the third one was just.
I think the scariest thing about the third one was the main villain's 90s middle parting. Like he looked like something out of Dawson's Creek, like coming to kill you.
I thought of it's Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell killing people with a drill.
Perfect. There we go. There you go. Way better one.
That's what it was. Like we got Zach Morris's stunt double as the killer. That's what I thought.
He wants blood.
Yeah, for like the craziest reason imaginable. About his uncle. So. But the second one is like my favorite one, because especially the way he talks, the way he comes out and talks, he's like, "Come on, baby, let's rock and roll." It's like, like that, like the way that's how he talks.
What was that one where he corners the girl in the bathroom? Hey, baby. What?
Or where he sneaks up behind the guy in the car. He's like, "This one's dedicated to the one I love," and then he drills him through the back.
What I love about that, and I think that there's no way Danishka didn't do this on purpose, but when Nathan is holding the guitar and he kind of slicks his hair back, I was like, wait a minute, you look very much like the villain in the second one. Man.
Yeah, the craziest thing about that, because I was watching this other video, that was a kill count for it. It turned out the guy who played that driller killer, his father was the founder of Little Caesars Pizza. So I'm like, what? Yeah, his father was
weird.
Yeah, it's like such a weird connection on that. And he also
When is Little Caesars the pizza that they get given with where he gets the drills in the eyes?
Yeah, no. This is
No.
This is actual like pizza franchise here in the U.S. It's called Little Caesars. It's
Yeah.
this little like Julius Caesar type. He goes pizza. But the guy who founded that, his son plays the driller killer in Slumber Party Massacre too.
Wow.
I think there was actually pizza adverts during the sci-fi screening, from what I remember. Like the adverts were all very Slumber Party Massacre-esque, where they had just had the pizza party, and then the first commercial was, I don't know if it was Little Caesars, I think it might have been Papa John's.
Yeah.
Everyone on Twitter was just being hysterical. Like, really? They're doing a pizza advert now?
I know, it's so funny.
So funny.
It's like a big thing.
I think if they had done like a hardware store advert, I would have just lost.
Oh,
that just would have been too perfect.
Nah, yeah, that was pretty funny. But yeah. So, and this is I'm just having too much fun right now with this because this is just crazy. You guys, but this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's good to talk about.
Yeah. So yeah. So it's a great. I mean, this is a hands down great movie. I do like that third twist in the third act. I mean, some people bashed it. They were like, "Oh, it's too much like another horror movie." We all know which one we're talking about here, Friday the 13th. But
yeah,
it still worked for some reason. I felt like it still worked. I thought it was a nice little twist to the story.
Yeah, and I think so much of the choices are also about, paying homage to these traditions within the genre as well. So, I think that's also a lot of the time that's really they're doing that on purpose. Is making these choices that kind of sit within the tropes and traditions of the genre itself, and having fun with that and subverting it at times, and sometimes just paying homage straight up. So, yeah, I liked it, and it's. I think what it really helps with is the pacing of the film, and the choice to kill Russell at that, kind of 3/4 of the way through, and then you think, well, what's going on, and then the pace picks up again. It makes it really, really watchable. It's it just flies by because it's just got this lovely pace to it because of those, those three definitive kind of acts where those big turning points happen.
Yeah, and this one's longer than the original. The original is only like 75 minutes long. This one is 86 minutes long. So that's what really helped too. As you mentioned, the pacing.
Yeah,
so that really helped as well. Yeah,
it goes by at a lovely pace. You never feel like, okay, what's going to happen next? It's just like,
it never feels like it drags, which I think that a lot of horror movies. Occasionally you get to the third act and you're like, oh, okay, we get it. Like, yeah, there's a murderer. And I think that there was something so breakneck about this, especially the first kill that Russ does on screen is so brutal that it really establishes that, okay, this is a threat to be taken seriously. I'm terrified of this guy. And the introduction of the first girls, I really liked it because these characters are incredibly nuanced in that the first discussion they're having is, oh, my boyfriend cheated on me. And one of the girls is like, yeah, it was me. And I think that immediately creates stakes, and it immediately creates this nuance where you're like, oh, damn, these are real people. Whereas a lot of the time you watch like horror movies and you'll hear the dialogue and you go, no one talks like this. What am I watching here? And I think there was something to be said about creating very grounded in reality characters, a fast pace. And what I loved about it is that it goes between being incredibly grounded in reality to a very like wink and a nod, like, yeah, this is ridiculous and we're just going to let it be ridiculous. Right. And it works. It was a very enjoyable experience.
Yeah, and it should be mentioned that the characters' names of the first girls is actually based on the original film. So exactly. that really works as well. So that's what made it even more interesting.
And if you take, what I love is like they pretty much nailed a lot of the likenesses. Like if you take a look at Jane and the character she was supposed to play in the original, like no one quite looks like Jane, but it's pretty close. And I was like, that is some attention to detail right there. But then with the new ensemble, what I loved is that there's like passing resemblances, but for the most part, it's a hard reset. And I think that man, the casting, they nailed the casting.
Oh, definitely. They definitely nailed the casting. Yeah. But I gotta say this, one of the funniest scenes, one of the most hysterical scenes is when Alex is playing with that little figure at the store. Like that part, I gotta mention that because that had to be like one of the funniest things about the movie. And I like Jennifer's response. So you're gonna play with Penis Man, or you're gonna buy Penis Man, or what? It's like, she's just like that had to be meant, like, because that's the whole thing with the whole feminism thing, like, you know, just the whole, you know, phallic type thing, and, you know, Russ getting clam chowder on his face, and
and it leans into that stuff so well, and both comedically and it's social commentary, and it does it in such a brilliant way. And I like what you were saying, Michael, how they changed. I think that Danishka and Suzanne really like walked a wonderful kind of tightrope between the laughs and the horror, the stakes being really high, and then being able to get like a big laugh out in a moment that feels really terrifying, but then finding the comedy in that moment as well, and
Absolutely.
into like really honoring the genre, but at the same time then kind of flipping the script on the genre, and it's constantly doing that thing, and it never feels forced in any direction or kind of off balance, which I think was a really incredible feat. Actually, it's difficult to get that right.
And then also, speaking of Hannah, Hannah, that's another thing that kind of like in a way flipped the script, because in most films you always see people of color getting killed like first or some point. They're always going to get killed, but here she is, and she survives it, and I think that's another brilliant
fantastic
thing that they did.
And I think what was also what I loved about the fact that they didn't they kind of left it open to interpretation, but the very LGBTQI plus positive sort of message, and like the kind of friendship between Hannah and Frank's character was really like sweet and really nuanced, because I think a lot of the time with romance in horror films, it's either like hammered to death, or it's just so lacking in substance that you never take it seriously. But there was something so tender and so sweet about when they're kind of holding each other's hands in the car. Francis's character's got this giant spike coming out of her chest, and where she just said something as simple as "I've got you" or "I've got this," and you're just like, oh, that's like really sweet. Like,
or she's wiping the food off.
And it creates.
That was another one.
See, and you're right. It is very tender, and it's not hammered to death, but it just gives it this other layer, and they both play it so beautifully. It was I loved that. I really loved that detail in there.
Yeah, I felt that was important. Yeah, and Mila mentioned something like if they do a sequel, they should have them returning, but as a married couple.
Absolutely.
Like Mila mentioned that in a tweet, and she said, for a sequel, like have Alex doing witchcraft and bring Rob back as Russ Thorn, but
I'll come back and
I think Rob needs to come back.
Yes.
And I think by then my character's already like gone on like a million podcasts, probably like written a book, and he's like, I survived Russ Thorn. And then now the girls would probably have some things to say about that. Like, how exactly did you survive? Coward.
And I like
we'll see.
Yeah, it's funny is
Suzanne Kelly comes up with.
Yeah, what's funny is a few months ago I spoke with Cameron Scott. We did an episode together, and I mentioned that you were in Slumber Party Massacre, and he's like, yeah, they actually sent me the script, and I wasn't really into it, but yeah, they wanted me to audition for John also. They actually told me that.
Every time they love like Cammy and I are always chasing each other, man. It's hysterical.
That's because you guys beat each other up in that short film Jaw, which I finally saw like a couple weeks ago on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
you two were awesome in that, like hands down.
Oh man. Well, the thing about working with Cammy is that you've got yourself like the safest pair of hands. Like whatever Cammy puts his mind to, it's gonna fly. And I think any opportunity I get to work with him is just an honor. So yeah, I think he's in Bear Lake in California right now. So Cammy, hope you're doing good, man. And hope to work with you soon.
Yeah. So you heard. I hope he does hear this, and you two should work with Raina again, like together this time, like not separate. You guys need to work with Raina as well, because she's as we were talking about earlier before we recorded, she's such an amazing actress and filmmaker now.
Yeah, I think she's definitely got like I always laugh with her that she's got the chops to be like the next Lynn Ramsey, like one of those like very serious, sadistic like horror films like made with that very, very strong feminist presence. Can't say enough nice things about Rayne.
Yep. And
I agree, we should all be in a movie together that she can make, direct it and be in it, and then we'll take whatever part she'll give us.
Of course, man.
Yeah, she'll say you play this, you just run with it. That's all you got to do. But I gotta say, South African films, man, I've been a huge fan for a while now, but Triggered really was the catalyst for like me really delving into it. And man, you guys have probably one of the best like film industries in terms of, I have not seen any diva moments from any actors there. You all get along really well. You guys are like the horror film community. Like, I was talking to a director a few years back, and he's like, the horror film community is like a family. So it's like, you guys are now welcome to that family with this one. If no one welcomes you, they're gonna have to go through me, because that's. But they
the things I love most about this movie is it's introduced me to the subculture of people that are such an incredibly loyal audience, and I just love it. I love the horror peeps, man. They're so great.
Yeah, we're all the weird cousins from different families, like collected into one beautiful, strange community.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's been incredible to kind of like have this exposure to the horror world to the point where one of my favorite wrestlers is Shotzi Blackheart, and she's a massive horror fan. Mm-hmm. And to have her kind of like message me and say how much she was a fan of the movie I was in was unbelievable. I'm like, dude, I'm a fan of you. What are you talking about? Like, you're the star here. But it's just incredible. Like, if you work hard and you like have the commitment to the project that you're doing, especially if it's horror, they'll follow you, man. And I think that I'm so humbled and so appreciative of everyone who gave this film a chance. And I think it must be said, Sci-Fi really gave us like one of the best platforms to succeed. Like, debuting it like the week before Halloween at like the midnight slot on the Saturday. I mean, they gave us every tool to succeed, and I really am so thankful to everyone at Sci-Fi, everyone at Blue Ice. I mean, man.
That's the one thing when it was first announced back in April that there was going to be a remake coming out, and they said Sci-Fi original. Some fans were really skeptical because at the time, I think they were watching the old Sci-Fi channel when they would cut down everything.
Yeah.
When I saw the Banana Splits movie on Sci-Fi Channel for the first time, I'm like, okay, they included the gore, so I know we're going to see a lot of that. Yeah, I'm glad they did that. They didn't. They only edited, like, the most thing they edited was Eden's butt. They pixelated it, but other than
which
that,
is a travesty.
Yeah, and then they did the cloud.
We got to see the cloud. We got to see the uncensored one at the festival. My word, what a breathtaking
beauty.
But I like the fact that they did keep the gore. They kept the language there, So yeah, I agree. They did. I think Sci-Fi did an excellent job this time around, and I'm glad that it finally got exposed to audience, because we got there's some horror films that were announced and they're still waiting. Like last year, Triggered was, that looked like it could have been a Halloween release, and we got it in the States 2 months before South Africa got it. We got it in November of 2020. So it's like, why'd you release it now? Why couldn't you release it around Halloween? And but so I don't know if it gained much traction, but I for one, that, like I said, it was one of my favorite movies last year, and and we're still waiting for the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like, because they did a direct sequel, so we're still waiting for that. And that's like, you guys couldn't release this on Halloween. I mean, especially me being like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is my favorite horror film of all time. Like, the original. Everyone's like, which one? Like, the original is like my favorite one of all time.
Like, put it out, release it now.
Yes. So, what are your
for saying such wonderful things about the South African film industry? It's really lovely to hear.
Yeah.
And I think we are very much a family I think, in the past we really had to fight for scraps, and we'd be lucky if we were getting bit parts and the first guy who dies in the film. And over the years, as our industry has grown here and more international stuff has been shot here, they've, the industry starting to realize our crews are world class. It's taken them a little bit longer to realize that the acting talent is as strong as it is.
Yeah.
But it's there now. And Slumber Party Massacre was so great in the sense for us as South African actors that it was all, the entire cast was South African. And normally we'd really just be getting the scraps, and it's given us an opportunity to have a full-on South African ensemble cast doing an American film, which is, it's massive for us, and it gives the opportunity for younger actors in our industry to get a shot that they would never normally have gotten,
like Mike over here.
Yeah, like Mike
and Cameron and Diesel and those.
Paul Bass, who played one of the guys, it's his first film as well, and that's because they had the whole movie to cast here, whereas normally there's like 4 or 5 parts that we're all kind of fighting over, and it makes it very, very difficult. So it's very exciting for us, I think, in the industry that this is starting to happen, and filmmakers and the industry is starting to trust us.
Yes, and that's and we're talking about I spoke with Alistair Orr last year also about Triggered, and also about how we have the South African directors now doing Hollywood films like Gavin Hood and Michael Matthews. They're from there, and they're doing films internationally now. And I was like, I was telling Alistair, maybe Trigger could be your ticket to Hollywood, because that was such, I like that what he did with it. And I spoke with some other South African actors like Chris Jofta. I spoke with him, and I really delved into the history of the film industry there, like recently, and I started watching so much stuff like Jamie Ice's stuff, like The Gods Must Be Crazy, and and even before that, I actually saw his first film is actually on YouTube right now. It's called Dardel and the Bosveld, which actually took elements, you could put elements into Gods Must Be Crazy.
Wow.
And then
I think it's the next 5 to 10 years in the South African film industry is going to be very exciting, and I think we're going to see a lot of talent starting to break through. A lot of directors, a lot of actors, and I think more and more stuff is going to be shot here. We're going to get more opportunities. So I feel like we're kind of on the verge of a little bit of a South African film renaissance, which is quite exciting.
Yeah, and then we started getting
absolutely, and I feel remiss. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Are you froze?
I think Mike froze. I think Michael froze. But I was saying,
I feel remiss if I didn't get too rude. I just rolled by.
So I was talking about how you all right, Michael?
We lost you.
I think I'm here.
Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah. Again, that's the good thing. That's the interesting thing with recording live, guys. We can get some of these glitches, but that's okay.
Right now. But I was saying, I feel absolutely remiss if I didn't mention Ryan Kruger, the guy who's taken the world by storm with Fried Barry. I mean, he's one of ours, man. He's South African, and it's just incredible how that film has just taken a life of its own. So, there's some. I don't know what we're putting into the water in South Africa, but we've got some very talented hard.
So, and listen to this. We're getting films in the U.S. from South Africa that came out during the apartheid era. That was for Black audiences back in the day, like only for them. We're getting them here in the U.S.
Wow.
Streaming. Okay. So I was like surprised at that. I'm looking at the descriptions. I'm like, when did they make this movie and whatnot? And I did, of course, like Michael, I like to do my research on films because I was a film studies major. So, that's how I got into this whole thing. So it turned I was learning that this one filmmaker, Tony van der Merwe, he rallied to the government. I want to make films just for the Black audiences, and he did that. He made like over 400 films, just to them, and then they were lost after apartheid ended. And then this company out of Cape Town called Gravel Road started finding these and remastering them, and they're releasing them internationally now. So we're able to get some of that history of your film industry, which I think is awesome.
That's so cool.
And I see the look on Rob's face, like his mouth is dropping right now. Like,
I gotta get my hands on some of this stuff. That's fantastic.
yeah, I think that's why I think it's amazing. Like the industry over there. It's just like, and then like, you know, you always had international productions there. Like, you know, so like during the 90s, some of my favorite martial arts movies were shot in South Africa. So that, like, you know, like Kickboxer 5 with Mark Dacascos, he was with James Ryan, who was a big actor over there in South Africa. He did Kill or Be Killed, Kill and Kill Again, which I have on Blu-ray over here somewhere. And
nice.
Gavin Hood, who is now a director, he's actually in the movie. He gets killed by James Ryan. So there's that big connection as well. So I think that's just, that industry is just amazing over there.
Thank
Gavin Hood actually went to the same high school that Cameron and I went to. So it's like, it's always so nice to see like a Saints boy.
Nice.
Like, yes, we did it. Like one of us.
Oh yeah. Like there's a guy who graduated the year after I did, and he's now a big TV actor in the U.S. Like,
oh, wow.
I've known him because I graduated like I've known him for like years, and then now he's this big TV actor.
So cool.
Yeah, so I love that connection. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know who the guy who sits next to you in Matt's is going to turn out to be. So be nice.
Exactly. I know. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is from my hometown in New York. So I'm originally from New York, so just, you know, that's where I'm originally from. Yeah, I've been here 14 years now. So.
What part of New York are you from?
So I'm from like 30 minutes from the big city, Westchester County. It's
Westchester.
Right
okay, so that's okay. It's up.
Yeah,
New
it's
York
right
State.
above it. Yeah. So you have like my hometown, then Yonkers, and you're in the Bronx, like right there, and then you go right to Manhattan. So
I think that's where Post Malone is from. He's also from like Westchester, that sort of Rochester, that sort of area.
Yeah, and then I grew up during the 80s, so you know, I'm like a total 80s movie fanatic, all that stuff. So I'm into. So that's why I love Slumber Party Massacre like so much. Like we all mentioned, is it paid homage to the original 80s film, and I love everything 80s and all that stuff. So just like you mentioned with the synths in your reaction video, yep, definitely quintessential 80s the little synthesizer scores, which another thing, I love that during the opening credits of the new movie, they had the exact music from that. And I can't believe they put that in there. I was like, whoa, that's awesome. They did it right.
And they based it up, because I mean, if you listen to like the original, it's like very sort of like stripped down synth. But that opening, like what I love is that they have the original synth line, but it's just based up at the bottom, and it was just such a nice touch. And it goes back to what we've been talking about, where it was something that created an entirely new movie while paying absolute homage to the original. And man, it gave me goosebumps listening to that opening synth line.
Yeah, this is hands down one of the best remakes of a horror movie I've seen. Like, I don't think I've seen. I think the last best horror movie remake I saw was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre of 2003. That's like, that was a really good remake. I mean, they changed it up, yet they still paid homage to the original in some senses. And they also flipped the script, now that I think about it, where instead of hanging a girl on the meat hook, they hung a guy on a meat hook. So it's like, I just, now that I think about it, so they did some of that as well. And yeah, I think this Slumber Party Massacre is probably hands down one of the best remakes I have ever seen.
That is high praise indeed. Thank you very, very much.
Yep, and yes, Rob is a big part of that reason why. Like everything about it, I can't shut up about. Like last year, I couldn't shut up about Triggered. Now this year, I was like, I can't shut up about Slumber Party Massacre. Like,
yes,
love this podcast, love it.
Yes, like this is hands down. Like I'm gonna tell you, this is in my top 5 of the year without a doubt. Like this, and then Fried Berry is also in my top 5 because that movie is just so surreal. Like that was just amazing.
I think that's going to be your next guest. You got to get Ryan and Mr. Barry himself on. I think that from the interviews I've seen with the two.
It's funny because I did interview Ryan, but unfortunately I had an issue with my computer, so I couldn't get the audio for him. So I was so mad, but thankfully I had Twitter, and Ryan does follow me on Twitter, so
get him back on, man.
We'll plan
probably one of the funniest interviews I've ever listened to. Like he's so he's so passionate about what he's doing. But
Yeah.
I think no one is more surprised at the incredible success of this movie more than he is. And it's just it's so sweet to hear him, like, this humble kid from South Africa, kind of like getting the sort of reverence that he's getting, which is rightly deserved, by the way. Ryan, I love you, man. Like, I love your movie.
Yes, and I definitely want you guys on again, like as well, because you two are awesome, man. You're like, especially Rob. Like, we got one day we got to do a podcast about your legendary comedic career, because
please do that.
All the stuff you've done, man. Like, you just the Anne Hirsch show, that had to be one of the funniest things I've ever seen that you did, because you were just like you start out.
Oh, my friend.
Yeah, you start out making fun of her, and then you were like in this one uncomfortable, like you just like totally uncomfortable. Like, I know it's all for jokes, but that thing was so funny. Like, I've never seen anyone play off an interview like that so well. And
oh, thank you. Wow, you've done your research.
Yes, and I will tell you, we still have a running gag within the family. Whenever someone buys a Kit Kat, I'm like, don't leave it on the mantelpiece for 3 days, because it will start talking to you. And my son actually does the motions. He starts going, like, licking his arm and playing. He's like,
you've seen everything. Oh my God.
Yes. I had to, man, because I had to. And, you know, when I heard that you were playing Russ Thorn, I'm like, I gotta do my research on this guy. And man, and then I saw all the funny stuff you did, and I was like, I was in tears. And then I was mentioning it to my coworkers as well at my day job, and they're like, we gotta see this guy. This guy sounds funny. So I would send them links, and they just like, this guy's really funny. I'm like, yeah, could you see him as a killer? And they're like, yeah. But like, you guys, I was like, oh, then you're gonna have to watch Slumber Party Massacre.
Wow.
But yeah, I've only maybe read 1 or 2 bad reviews about the movie, but
yeah, it's really been across the board very, very, very well received. And that's surprising. I was expecting a little bit more, kind of, some people love it, some people hate it. Yeah. But it's like 80-90% people love it, which
Rotten Tomatoes actually gave it a 100 fresh review. So that's brilliant.
We'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, like that's, geez. Like, granted, it's 8 reviews, but still, I mean, 100% fresh. That's just mind-blowing.
It's humbling. It's incredibly humbling.
It is, man. Yeah, and man, and Michael, man, you're just like coming out of the woodwork, man. Like, you're virtually new. Like, you know, you're not really a newcomer anymore. Like, you're pretty much, you know, you started out with Triggered, and then you did Ubatina with 2, which I seen clips, and dude, you're funny in that. You're just like, you're so slimy as Brandon. Like,
I know, and the number of old ladies at the grocery store who were just like scolding me and saying like, "How could you do that to her? How could you yell at her?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm sorry."
I'm like, I'm just playing a character. Come on, man.
But they don't care. They don't care.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you're gonna have those old.
Like the lady who plays Betty in that show, Farida. She's like a national treasure, man. So for me to like every single take, after every like cut, I'd be like, I am so sorry. Are you okay? Like, is everything? Actually, do you want to go for another one?
You know, it's funny. The guy I mentioned who I went to school with, who's a TV actor now. His name is Max Greenfield. He was actually on Ugly Betty in the U.S. version.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah. Oh my God.
We went to the same high school together. I graduated the year before he did, so I've known him since like grade school. And just for the record. Yeah, so just for the record, he's as funny off screen as he is like on screen.
That's amazing.
Like, he's just as funny, like, hands down. He's really funny.
Well, you tell Max I said thank you very much, because we actually, I think I must have used him as a source at some point.
Yeah, I'll have to reach out to him. Yeah, it's been a while, but I'll have to like reach out to him and say, like, I know this guy right here. I'll have to reach out to him again, because it's been a while. But yeah.
Unfortunately, gents, I am going to have to be rude and log off quite soon. I have to dash off, but I just have to say.
No worries, man. We did. I think we're just about to wrap it up here, because we did. This has been a great talk, man. We were over. I think we're clocked in over an hour, so that's good. Yeah, because Cameron's and I was like almost an hour and a half. Like, we just like veered off into like our own little thing when we did our podcast episode. But yeah, so this has been great talking to you guys. You guys are You guys are amazing. You know, you all got my email now, so we're definitely going to keep in touch.
In touch.
Right.
So yeah, so I do have
so much for having us.
So I do have one. So I do have one final question. What's next for you guys? That's my last question. Is there anything that you guys are working on, like, or upcoming? I think Rob, you just finished something, didn't you? Like you just finished an upcoming.
Just 2 days ago, wrapped on a very, very exciting project for Netflix. I can't say.
Oh yeah, you don't have to give anything details as that. But all we know is he does have a new project that he just wrapped up.
It's
So
very exciting. I think it'll be out. I think February, March next year. I will say that it's the biggest on-camera role I've ever had, and certainly the biggest kind of dramatic arc. It's like a serious drama. My character goes through a lot, and it was an amazing experience, and I can't wait for people to see it. So that's when we should do our next interview.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
As soon as that's out, we'll definitely have you back on here because
Cool.
You've just been a delight, man. You've just been awesome.
Thanks so much.
And I gotta say, special thanks has to go out to Rayne because she's the one who introduced us.
Yeah, thank you, Rayne.
So
we love you.
Yes. And Michael, what do we got next from you after this, or are you just like taking it easy right now?
Well, first things first, I have to say that if you want to keep up with any updates of Rob, follow him at Rob Van Vuuren at Twitter and Instagram. Rob, I'm flagging for you.
I will have for the YouTube version. The link will be in the description.
Yeah, but I'm very much in the same position as Rob. I think I haven't stopped working since the beginning of this year, and there's a couple of projects that should be coming out early next year, but I have NDAs pinned under threat of death. So all I'll say is, if you want to see the guy from Slumber Party Massacre be a grizzled military PTSD survivor, as well as a little more of a comedic role, I think February, March of next year is where you get to see that. Otherwise, at What's Potting, that's WHATSPOTTING, so slick, on either Instagram or Facebook and Twitter. And just, keep up with the inane dog photos I post every now and again. But yeah, 2022 is going to be a good year, I think. And by the way, you have to come to South Africa at some point, and Rob and I are going to take you out for a few beers.
Yes, that's definitely something I got to do. I've been wanting to go out there for a while now, so yes, that's got to happen. We are going to make that happen. And guys, Slumber Party Massacre is available on demand right now and on digital, so check that out. Hopefully we'll get a physical release soon, because I, for one, will be first line to buy it. So I hope you all are too. Michael, Lawrence Potter, and Rob Van Vuuren were our guests today, and I hope everyone stays safe, and thank you guys again. And yeah, we're definitely going to keep in touch, and I hope everyone there has a great day. So take care.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.